Hello, hello, and welcome to Four Wheel Tech. Today is July 7th, 2024. You might be asking yourself, wait, this is July 8th. But nope, Mayor Watt is in his time machine going back to make up for a couple of shows that were missed yesterday. Today is indeed July 7th, 2024. It's Season 1, Episode 16 of Four Wheel Tech. I am Mayor Watt, and the Sentient AI from the future is not available at this time. I'm going to move something over a little bit so that, there you go. Anyway, let's see here. Today we're going to be talking about interesting cars, the Polaris Slingshot, Lincoln Nautilus, Caterham RAF Seven 360R, a Reliable Dipstick. That's not me. Jeep with Vineyard Vines, EV fuel savings, Mercedes on ice, Kimera K39, Hill Climber, and the Toyota RAV Hybrid. Everything is powered by ohmTown.com. Go over and become a citizen. That would be great. That's that site right there, ohmTown.com. One of the channels, which is one of the shows, of which I actually am trying to produce 50 shows. We're only at 7. It's been a few years, and I'm looking for hosts and co-hosts. If you're interested in taking over a channel, or you want to strike up your own here at ohmTown.com, get in touch with the mayor. That's me, mayor at ohmTown.com. Send an email. We can also talk via the Discord if you're interested, and we'll figure out all of the rest. Although we have it figured out. I just need people to come and do hosting or co-hosting. It'd be fun. You can be in one of the corners, and along with the Sentient AI, that's this. It's a thing. It's a whole thing. Let's get into it. All right, folks. So the first article is over in Four Wheel Tech. Check out all the most interesting cars from the 2024 Hillsborough Concours d'Elegance Concours events. Are always some of the best car shows to attend, though the automobiles on display are typically older and extremely expensive. Only one post-war car has ever won the Pebble Beach Concours d'Elegance, for example. But in recent years, the cars you'll see on concourse lawns are getting newer. Probably because the old ones are fading out in popularity, and as more people move on board, they don't necessarily look that far back. I find all automobiles kind of interesting, so Daniel Golson over at jalopnik.com put this article together. The deck statement says the concourse event had everything from JDM legends to pre-war classics and modern supercars. It is a slideshow, and I don't typically go through the slideshow. I just kind of click on one of the, or on the all slides link, and then grab something that I might find interesting. Oh, that's why that did what it did. 1 second. Let me move something over a little bit. It's got some wacky stuff going on with my browser. Anyway, they had the 1996 Mazda Miata M Coupe concept, and another Miata Club Racer, and another Mazda Miata M Speedster concept. Of course, the Bugatti Type 57, and an old Packard, 1927 Packard 343 convertible sedan. I wonder, let's take a look at that one. It's a bunch into the link, into the list. So let's see if I can get to it. There's the Bugatti. There's a Land Rover. I love these kind of cars. Now, if only they would get some type of, I don't know, gas mileage. It would be great to have one of these as a hybrid. I can carry my troops in the back. ohmTown would never be the same. All right. Here's the Alfa Romeo Giulietta. That's the old school Giulietta. This is a bitchin' Camaro. Ford Thunderbird. A McLaren Speedtail. Man, that thing looks like it could swim through water just as easily as air. Toyota Supra Turbo. That's interesting. Sunbeam. Honkai, I guess it is. Honkai? Hongqi CA770. Perhaps the strangest car on the show was the Hongqi Limo. Built from 1964 to 1981 using the chassis and engine from a Chrysler Imperial. Only 847 of them were built, and all were sold to government officials. What a trip. This looks like, what is the... There's a superhero, like anti-hero that drove something similar to this in a cab or something like that. I don't know. Let's keep moving. Gaz M21 Volga. The Morgan JAP Super Aero. That's a trip. That looks like an old school, or a new school, I should say, slingshot, which we're going to talk about right after this article. There's the Porsche 934 Turbo, Ferrari. Slide 19 is what we're trying to get to, but I'm going kind of piddly slow. Ford Mustang Indy Pace car from 1979. Rolls-Royce Phantom. Every Rolls-Royce Phantom that I have ever seen, I've been in several, the quality control is pretty tremendous, and the doors are super thick. But I wouldn't be able to name the ones that I've seen because it's been so long ago. There's the Packard 343 convertible sedan. Look at that thing. Man, Addams Family. Pretty cool. I love that color too. Royal purple is spectacular. Okay, let's keep going though. If you are interested in getting all of the show notes while you're in the chat here on Twitch, over on YouTube, it's a different animal because it's going to be in the description. But if you hit exclamation point and then FWT in the chat at any time, I don't have to be streaming. You can go into the chat and type exclamation point FWT, and you'll pull up all the articles from that weekend's show. So if you hit exclamation point show notes, that will also give you all of the commands to extract the show notes from the various shows. And we have 7 shows, only one of which is a daily. There's 6 that are weekend shows, and they're all listed right there in the chat and in the show notes and on the podcast. They're everywhere, so be sure to go and check it out. And if you want the podcast themselves, you can hit exclamation point and then POD, and that'll give you all the shows that we do. Non Sequitur News is a daily show, and then we do Reality Hacker, the Continuity Report, and Wanted. And then on Sunday, we do Technology Today, WarCrafters, and 4-Wheel Tech. Actually, that's not true. We do the Continuity Report, Technology Today, and 4-Wheel Tech on Sunday. I don't know what I was thinking. Anyway, be sure to follow us here on Twitch and over on YouTube. Like, subscribe, download the podcast, leave a 5-star review, and I'll quote you verbatim. You'll live on in infamy. You'll be more than famous. You'll be infamous. Infamous! All right, let's go on to the next article. Next article is over in 4-Wheel Tech. Driving the Polaris Slingshot was so unpleasant it set off my fitness tracker stress monitor. According to the author over at Jalopnik, it says Jalopnik is more than just a car blog. We cover all and review all sorts of transportation, from boats and trains to motorcycles. But the review is something much more nebulous. The Polaris Slingshot, the 3-wheeled, 2-seat, open-topped tricycle thing with a single belt-driven rear wheel. I actually love it. The Slingshot is open-top, but there is another that is enclosed. So I want one of these only because I think it's a blast. It just looks like it's going to be fun. I want to be able to take my top off. Logan Carter over at Jalopnik put the article together. Just because they didn't like it doesn't mean nobody should buy it. Just proceed with caution. Really, if it were to be enclosed, I think then it would be the shiznit. But Their apprehensions ran high prior to driving the Volt Orange 2024 Polaris Slingshot SL, and after a week with the Slingshot, those apprehensions were validated. The Slingshot is not for them. They make up a couple of disclosures, but I'm not really worried about that. They actually were driving with a stress monitor on, and as they drove, it increased from, I suppose, baseline 0 immediately to 1, and then as high as 3, and then back down to, well, it never reached anything lower than 1. Guess when I was driving the Slingshot. So throughout the day, they were at 1. I suppose that's baseline and not unconscious. And then it went to 2, as high as 3, and then back down to their 1. Pretty fascinating. Driving a Slingshot through LA is a stressful experience. Well, it's LA. For crying out loud, LA is a stressful experience. As proven by my Whoop fitness watch tracking all of my drives as times of elevated stress. You sit very low to the ground with no airbags, no doors, no roof. Yeah, no way in hell am I driving that without doors and a roof and airbag. A roll cage, it has minimal. It has this right here, which is just that little horseshoe roll cage. So if it does flip over, you'll just be sanding your forehead down, not your entire head. That's fine. That's fine. So the Polaris built 2.0 liter inline 4 engine, and the Slingshot SL is rated at 178 horsepower and just 120 pound-feet of torque, the latter of which hits its peak at 5,500 RPM, and the Slingshot weighs about 1,600 pounds, nearly 1,000 pounds less than a Mazda Miata. This should make it a ton of fun, but as soon as the power builds, it just spins that single drive rear tire, which can make you smile if you don't need it to hook up. But if you want to go fast and you want contact, it is a single point of failure, by the way. That it's a fat tire, but if it has so much torque that it just spins, like I might get exhibition of speed tickets when you hit the accelerator at a red light. Not anymore. I'm too old for that crap. But anyway, you have to rev it out of redline to get power, but the engine is so rattly it sounds like it's going to blow up. They were not a fan of the exhaust note either, since it sounded more like a leaf blower than a car, which might be excusable in a side-by-side, but not in something that's meant to be on-road fun machine. I mean, it wants to be a cross between a motorcycle and a car. Some stability, some everybody sees it kind of a thing. On a motorcycle, you are invisible. You have to drive like everybody. You have to ride like everybody else is an idiot. And you have to ride for the fall. So basically, this thing is supposed to solve that kind of a problem. Maybe the tire needs to be twice as wide, for crying out loud. That would make it tippy. But anyway. The seats on the Tester were heated and cooled, which is a welcome option. Unfortunately, when combined with seat belts that are tethered to the middle of the vehicle instead of over the occupant's outside shoulder, like in every other car, it felt like I was going to slide out of the Slingshot around every corner. Dear God, no. Okay, well, anyway. Their test vehicle came with minimal options, including heated and cooled seats for $1,700, a $100 phone mount, so it doesn't go flying out of your car. Or out of your Slingshot, I guess, or slingshotting out of your Slingshot. And then the total MSRP was just shy of $31,000. The cheapest new Slingshot S sells for $22,000 without any options, and the most expensive Slingshot Roush, the Roush edition, starts at $38,000 before any options. Litany of better ways is what they say. Yeah, $30,000 worth of lottery tickets is what they say would be better. Anyway, they're not a fan. I think it looks like fun, but I've never been in a Slingshot. So, never. I've seen them, but I've never been in it. Looks like fun. All right, let's keep going. The next article is over in 4-Wheel Tech. How the Lincoln Nautilus surprisingly won over the author of this article with its ride and huge screen. Whoa, this is the Lincoln Nautilus. The article is over at arstechnica.com. Jonathan M. Gitlin is the author. If you are over in chat, over on YouTube or here on Twitch, let me know. It'd be great to talk with you. So how I stopped worrying and learned how to love the big screen. There's basically from A-pillar to A-pillar, the dash is just one giant screen. I think it's a massive distraction, really. I don't think you need all of that kind of telemetry. But maybe over time, you'll just ignore it. Most people seem to ignore their gauges anyway until something lights up. But this thing is lighting up all the time. Jonathan M. Gitlin over at arstechnica.com put the article together. Let me zoom in a little bit so y'all can see it. They tested the hybrid Nautilus, a $1,500 option for the model that starts at $50,415. The hybrid system combines a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder direct injection engine with an electric motor in parallel, sending torque to all 4 tires via continuously CVT. So total output is 310 horsepower with a maximum output of 300 horsepower from the ICE and 134 horsepower from the electric motor. Basically, you're going to be using the electric motor to get your car up and in motion, and then it switches over to the ICE internal combustion engine. So it's a car that seems to encourage you to relax a bit and not be in quite so much of a hurry behind the wheel. At 310 horsepower, it's encouraging you to be in a hurry. So what about the screen? They say there were some interesting design touches throughout the Nautilus, but they're mostly overshadowed by the panoramic screen. It rides right underneath, right above your console, the center dash command screen, right on top of the dash. It looks like it's 4 inches tall and goes from A-pillar to A-pillar entirely across your horizon. I think that it's intrusive, but that's okay. Let's see what they say here. In front of the driver, there's an equivalent of a main instrument display, which in typical Lincoln fashion is actually quite minimalist in terms of the information it provides. I'm sorry. You see your speed here, as well as any driver assist warning icons. Next is the navigation map, which subtly blends in with the right side. In Google Maps is the default option, but you can move to something else. But if you connect an Apple iPhone via wireless CarPlay and use Apple Maps, that'll be projected. The remaining zones are user configurable, but none of the options are particularly information dense, so it's more like a waste. But it's a cool, kitschy thing. So, and they're listening to Mos Def at the time of their writing this, I guess, or time of the picture. So it includes the latest version of Blue Cruise, a hands-free driver assist that will operate on geo-fenced highways, replacing the normal adaptive cruise control and lane keeping. In Northern Virginia, at least, GM's Super Cruise appears to be able to be engaged in more places along the same routes, but they give points to Blue Cruise for a UI that makes it very clear when the system is engaged and when it isn't. I think it always needs to be notifying the user that it's in automatic mode. It should be way obvious for all the period. Anyway, I cannot wait for fully automated driving across the board because, like I've said in other episodes of ohmTown shows, I'm one of the people that I don't really care to drive anymore. I don't really need to drive anymore. And if I want to, then I just want to get from destination to destination and enjoy my trip. So I want to be able to hit 150 miles an hour and not worry about lane changes and some goober making a stupid decision trying to make an exit. The other day, I was driving down the freeway and somebody went from the fast lane to the turn lane that I was in before the exit. And it was a minor inconvenience because I actually saw it happening next to me. And so I just slowed down and let him in. And I was basically told, wow, you're very patient. No, I am not. I am seething inside, but what are you going to do? I'm not going to change that goober. Anyway, let's move on. The next article is over in Four Wheel Tech. I won't be able to talk much about one of these coming up from Automotive News because they're kind of hard paywalled. And I didn't log in before the show. So Anyway, the Caterham RAF Seven 360R is made from a decommissioned Puma helicopter. That's this vehicle right here. Very cool one-off build being auctioned to raise money for injured vets. Jonathan Ramsey over at autoblog.com put this article together, and not this article, but the next article is the one that's going to have a problem. But I can tell you what it's all about because I've been watching this happen. Helicopters don't get anywhere near the love lavished on planes, and about the only time we hear about Air Force is in the car world is when an automaker wants to race a fighter plane down a runway. Caterham begins remedying those oversights with one of the coolest crossover builds that they can imagine, and they basically took parts from a helicopter and made the body of what they're calling the Caterham RAF Seven 360R. It looks cool. It doesn't have any doors. It's not gonna. It's a one-off. I mean, it's a project car kind of a thing. Pretty cool. I like the lines on this. Yeah, I dig this style. Oh, what do they call this style? This where you're sitting way far back, basically on the rear differential. I can't remember what they call that style of car. Anyway, Caterham and RAF engineers used the aluminum skin on the Puma's doors and tail boom to create the Seven's body, using a portion of the bird's XW232 tail number alongside the Roadster's cockpit on both sides. Everything's been painted NATO green with the desert sand contrasts on the sills and the center tunnel. The rear bulkhead in the Caterham's cockpit still shows off the emergency jettison handle from the Puma's door. The carbon fiber seats, drive shaft tunnel, and internal body sides are lined with Puma's quilted soundproofing, and so on. It gets over the ground with a 2.0 liter 4-cylinder engine, making only 180 brake horsepower to move 1,274 pounds, which basically, yeah, you're going to be pretty zippy. The figures are not only well down on the Puma's 3,600 horsepower from the 2 turbo shafts. To lift its 8,000 pound empty weight, the Caterham musters 0.14 horsepower per pound, the Puma 0.45. So, I think the helicopter is going to get you there faster, but since parts are taken out of that Puma, it's not going to go anywhere. So, after debuting the car during the weekend British Formula One Grand Prix, the one-off build is going on tour before being auctioned at the Collecting Cars site. Caterham, the Royal Air Force, Mission Motorsport, and Royal Air Force Benevolent Fund want to raise at least £100,000 or $120,000 from the auction, less the $60,000 more for an a 360R in this spec. All proceeds going to aid injured servicemen and women. The bidding starts August 15th and ends September 12th. Yeah, it's just a really refined, I mean, when I see a car like this, I think Rat Rod, but it's too high quality to be confirmed or to be called a Rat Rod. But I love that styling right there. It just looks like a lot of fun. All right, let's keep going. The next article is over in Four Wheel Tech, and this is the article that I said was going to be a problem. Why the reliable dipstick is sliding into obsolescence, and it's basically being replaced with sensors. Now, the only problem I see with this is that if you get low pressure, it's either on or off. You can't catch something on the way down because there's a problem. And when you pull over to a gas station and you check the pressure, or not the pressure, but the level, you would be able to just add some more, but that's going away. They're getting rid of dipsticks and plugging that hole with a sensor to let you know where the oil is. You have pressure still right now, but you don't know about level, and now it's just going to go away. You won't know that something is happening until the well runs dry and you have a little light that pops on, or you have a puddle on your floor. The puddle is obvious, and you know that you've got a bigger problem than just adding oil. But gone are the days. Everything is becoming more and more sensor bound. And that's what this article ends up talking about, I'm sure of it. It seems counterintuitive, replacing a simple, trusty, low-tech part with costly sensors to measure oil, but this is why some automakers are going that route. The problem with a dipstick is over time, the oil actually becomes a nebulous measure of how much is in the stick. And the only way you know is when you take it out, clean it, put it back. You have to wait a certain amount of time. Different cars have different wait times because of the angle of attack of the dipstick into the sump. So you have no real knowing of what it is. Temperature makes a huge difference. Angle of the vehicle makes a huge difference. Time with the vehicle. So most people just want an on or off switch. Get it done. That's all that they want. And so that's why they're getting rid of it. It's just going to be a sensor and off you go. Okay. You can go and check out this article. I don't think that you'll be hit by this like I am. I just don't log in before the show because I put this together really quick. All right. The next article is over on 4-Wheel Tech as well. Jeep goes preppy with Vineyard Vines collaboration. The article is over at autoblog.com. Jonathan Ramsey is the author. The deck statement says new capsule collection and a Vineyard Vines Jeep Gladiator giveaway. So here's the beast, which combines basically a Jeep or a truck bed with a Jeep Gladiator 4-door. On one side is a new Vineyard Vines by Jeep capsule collection featuring the Jeep logo and Vineyard Vines smiling pink whale logo. The collection includes all kinds of material. And the other side of this is a Jeep Wrangler, right? Vineyard selling ties out of the back of their Jeep Wrangler. Let's see here. No, on the other side, Jeep created a custom Vineyard Vines Gladiator that some folks across the country can get close to when the Jeep takes the truck on a cross-country trip to promote the collection. Stops will include exclusive events, and there's sweepstakes to win the Vineyard Vines Gladiator that you can enter now. The equipment includes Napa leather seats, which I don't know if that even means anything to anybody, Alpine audio system, LED accessory lights, a winch, Salta wheels, 2.5-inch suspension lift, and a custom fish camo finish. All right. It's very subtle. And it looks like there's little fish all over, like sharks and stuff. Which I don't think wait. Somebody is going to get upset with me calling a shark a fish. Anyway, fish are friends, not food. Unless you're eating sushi, and then they're food. We'll guess the winning entry gets the clothing, swag, and Yeti coolers as well, and you can enter at the Vineyard Vines site right now. Follow the link through ohmTown over to autoblog.com, show them some appreciation, and read the rest of this article, because there's all kinds of stuff in here. But I just summarized this stuff. All right, let's keep going. The next article is over in 4-Wheel Tech as well. There's a report about EV fuel savings that depends on where you live and what you drove before. Yeah, I don't know about that. Chris Teague over at autoblog.com put the article together. The deck statement says the West Coast and Pacific Northwest saved the most by switching to electric. But I don't know about time value of money. Come on now. Opportunity cost. Come on now. If you are making $150 an hour and you have to sit around for 2 hours waiting for your damn car to charge up, let alone get to 80%, or 100%, if you want any EV to get to 100% from from 20%, you're going to be sitting there for 5 hours. And that's way too costly for me to just sit around. So the data comes from Argonne National Laboratory and estimates the fuel cost savings per mile on a zip code level across the United States. Places with lower electricity and higher fuel costs saved the most, while others saw fewer cost reductions. The most significant improvements came from drivers on the West and Pacific Northwest, but people in England or in New England and East Coast cut just 6 cents per mile or less. Argonne attributes some of the savings differences to utilities costs, but the lab also said that drivers in some of these highest saving states could also be more likely to drive large trucks or SUVs. So yeah, if you ditch the ICE vehicle and you go hybrid or plug-in all electric, pure electric, you're going to save more money than the ICE, because power is cheaper than fuel right now. And as long as you don't account for charge time, you're golden. That's fine. But no, I want to do more stuff, and I don't want to just do it in a car, sit somewhere waiting for my car to charge, have to sit in a restaurant or a coffee shop or something, and do work, bring my office wherever I go. I mean, that's just a big pain in the ass. So anyway, let's keep going. We are charging through all of these articles. Mercedes products plans keeping internal combustion around longer. So this article is over at autoblog.com. We only get the headlines from them. They don't provide any of the content within the article, but this is actually from Bloomberg and then aggregated into or posted by autoblog.com. EVs are still a big part, but ICE will remain past 2030, according to Mercedes. Quote, "We need flexibility for longer until deep into the 2030s, Kalenius said, keeping intact the company's goal of being carbon neutral by 2039. We remain committed to offering electric versions of the entire lineup this decade, but we have to ensure our combustion engine cars remain competitive." The company's battery vehicle sales fell 9% during the first quarter to 50,500 units, while its Munich-based competitors deliveries surged 82,700 vehicles. So the EQS, billed as one of the most significant launches in decades when Mercedes introduced it in 2021, has been particularly short, drawing unflattering comparisons to a jelly bean amid low sales. Yeah, well, the design, the aesthetic really makes a difference. And yeah, it looks like a jelly bean cut in half. Yeah. Anyway, pure electrics started dying on the vine, mainly because nobody wants to sit there and have a disposable. The battery is going to slowly fail over time. 5 to 10 years, you're losing anywhere between 10 and 20% of the overall battery performance. It can't survive cold weather or hot weather. It sucks going up a hill, etc., etc. Long wait times to charge, and then the eventual battery replacement. And depending on how you drive your car, you're going to drive the battery into the ground even more. And that's an additional cost somewhere around the number of $7,000 to $15,000 if you can get it replaced, depending on the vehicle. So Mercedes will kick off its next generation of vehicles built on new underpinnings next year, starting with the entry-level CLA Coupe and later the GLB SUV. Dun, dun, dun. There's a lot more over here in this article to go check out, such as Mercedes may also potentially free up as much as 10.5 billion euro by selling its remaining stake in Daimler Truck, which was spun off in 2021. The lockup period of the car maker's remaining 35% holding expires at the end of the year. So good luck. Get that money back. Hopefully it's on an upward trend where you can get rid of part of it and not crush its market share, or its stock price, I should say. Okay, the next article, and we only have one more after this. It's over in 4-Wheel Tech. Kimera K39 hill climb car aims for Pikes Peak in 2025. The article is over at autoblog.com. Jonathan Ramsey is the author. Deck statement says company wants to take outright record from Volkswagen IDR. So if you're not familiar with Pikes Peak, it's a uphill climb, very dramatic in its cutbacks, and you have to go as fast as you can, obviously, and when you wipe out, it's really horrendous. So this is what it was all about with Kimera and Pikes Peak International Hill Climb, the new K39. They say, let's make sure we're clear on what this means. Kimera is not trying to beat the best time for an internal combustion engine car, a time of 8 minutes 13 seconds, set by Sebastian Loeb in the Peugeot 208 T16 in 2013. Kimera wants the K39 to surpass the all-time record set by Romain Dumas in the battery electric Volkswagen IDR Racer that climbed the hill in 7:57. Since the Kimera hides some sort of ICE powertrain, the Italian boutique maker has given itself an exceptionally tough hill to climb. The problem is ICE engines have to spool up power. So whenever it applies any braking, it has to fire back up to see, or to get into position for acceleration further. It has to spool up that power. But electric motors do not have to suffer through that. Okay, so go and check out this article. I think it's going to be amazing to see a car actually do this, an ICE vehicle. But it doesn't look like it's a hybrid, so there's no electric in it. It'll be interesting to see what they actually show up with. Okay, the time machine is getting a little hot, so I'm going to have to get out of here and do this article right now and then take off, and we'll see you at 8 p.m. Eastern for non-sequitur news. This is the last article in four-wheel tech, though. I drove the 2024, not me, but the author of this article drove the 2024 Toyota RAV4 Hybrid XSE. It says it's a fun drive and has luxurious features, but it's not worth buying new. I'm going to jump straight on over to Business Insider, and Jules Rogers is the author of this. I dig that color of blue. It's like a sky blue, but anyway. So the automotive journalist Jules Rogers test drove the XSE model of the 2024 RAV4 Hybrid SUV. The SUV offers fuel efficiency and a smooth ride, and the XSE model has premium features, and while she'd consider buying it, she thinks the price is a bit high and it's not worth buying new. I agree. Hybrids seem to be irrationally priced high, probably because of complexity. You have one motor and one engine. The RAV4 Hybrid XSE all-wheel drive SUV has extensive safety features such as automatic high beams, lane tracing assist, and pedestrian detection that come with the Toyota Safety Sense package. Let's see here. See, all of this kind of stuff is kind of meh, and depending on the model you end up buying, it's slightly different or all the same, right? XSE technology package includes front and rear parking assist with automatic braking, smart key system, wireless charging, 8-way power driver's seat, but you need the passenger seat to have the same thing. I don't know why they don't care about the passengers. The XSE also has sport tuned suspension and bigger tech on the dash. Base model is just fine for those who want hybrid at a reasonably modest price point, but it's still not modest unless this thing is down below $40,000. So I'm going to actually kind of scroll through this and go to the power. So the RAV4 Hybrid is comparable to the RAV4 Prime and a competitor, the Kia Sportage Hybrid, which has a redesign for 2024 and was named U.S. News and World Report's best hybrid SUV for the money. The RAV4 Hybrid has 219 total horsepower, which is kind of par for the course for this level. It's more like a crossover than a pure SUV because they're not that big. SUV is like big old car, right? That's what most people think. So the vehicle's hybrid mode combined with the engine gives a decent score of 41 miles per gallon. And 38 miles per gallon on the highway. I think that sucks. It needs to be higher. It needs to be in the 50 to 65 mile per gallon range. I don't understand why we're doing this. We're just dripping this bullshit mile per gallon rating a little bit further down the line when there are vehicles out there that have this kind of power and still go 50 plus miles per gallon. So get us out of having to suckle the the gas pump. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Anyway, they say, actually, you know what? They don't have a price on here until the very end, and it's not even the price, right? It says 31,000. That okay, so they do have a price. The standard RAV4 hybrid model starts at 31,000, but they drove the XSE model, which comes with a technology package and costs $43,000. But then they say what I say, which is, when I'm next in the market for a hybrid crossover SUV, I'll consider the Toyota RAV4 Hybrid XSE. By the way, really quality car. The RAV4 line is, and most stuff from Toyota is. But they wish it didn't cost as much as it does, especially considering how many other options are on the market for $40,000 or less. But you're not going to get the reliability of a Toyota. And the RAV ride is pretty spectacular. I mean, it's a lot of fun to drive, and it's a lot of fun to just sit in. You can sit in traffic in a RAV4 and not have your butt hurting after 2 hours of sitting around. Anyway, $40,000 or less, I think, is the price point. But this is 43, and financing numbers, if you're going to finance it, it's going to be pricey. And yeah, I still think that it needs more gas mileage. Miles per gallon need to be larger. It needs to get into the 55 range at $40 to $45,000 to make any sense. Even entry-level models should have an engine that hits 50 miles per gallon, at least for hybrids. All right, folks. Well, that's it. I'm going to shut down the time machine and turn off my, it's a Toyota brand. No, it's not a Toyota brand time machine, but anyway. Oh, and by the way, I moved myself over and I have more, like right about there is that's where I can't go into the void, you know, if I go over here, but I can walk now 10 feet behind me. Anyway, because I moved my green screen, put a bigger one up. Doesn't matter. All right, folks, I'm out. Thank you very much for coming. If you're still here, if not, see you tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern. Got it? Get it? Good. Bye-bye. Whoops.